Yeah, I'll just scroll through here. All right, so Ryan, can you tell me a little bit about your musical background and like when did you start singing and playing and everything?
I started singing. My mother told me I started singing when I was like 3 years old. When I was born in Germany, she told me that I knew how to sing like 50 songs in German and in English, which was kind of interesting because I'm not sure if that's actually true or not, because that would be pretty impressive for a 3 year old to be able to do.
Yeah.
But then I started really singing when I was in middle school, or before I got to middle school, when I was doing a program called Summer Stage, and I attended it before fifth grade, and that was a really fun experience. And that's when I really got my first musical presence, and I got to learn more about how to have a better control of your voice and how to actually be able to be confident enough to sing in front of other people. I also started doing more musicals around that time. I started um, getting voice lessons on and off more in middle school, and then I started doing more voice lessons in high school. I kind of stopped doing musicals when I was in high school, and then I've been doing more musical things such as learning guitar and learning how to play piano and learning how to better use my voice throughout college.
Awesome. Okay. What are your favorite genres of music to sing and play?
It's kind of changed throughout the years. When I was younger, I listened to a lot of Frank Sinatra. The first 4 years I had Spotify, my number one listened to artist was Frank Sinatra, and I spent a lot of time kind of imitating his voice. Kind of, I got a
Crooner.
kind of, yeah, and I listened to my first album that I got was um, "Come Fly with Me," and my parents bought it for me for Christmas on a vinyl, and they got me a record player, and so I
Mm.
was able to listen to that on a record, which was very cool. And I remember listening to it over and over and over again, and just listening to the album through and through to memorize all the songs the on the play or on the album. And it was that was kind of where I first got my musical taste. Was a lot of that sort of music. There was an album called "Swing When You're Winning" that was kind of crooner songs that were sung by this guy named Robbie Williams, who was very famous in the UK. I don't think he was very famous in the US. And that's where I kind of, my dad showed me that album, and that's where I kind of got that uh, crooner taste in music. And then I kind of grew into more of, I listened to a lot of kind of pop and R&B as I got older. A lot of that in, I listened to Panic at the Disco when I was in like middle school, I guess, and then in high school it kind of became a little bit of a broader range. And then now I listen to even more. I listen to a lot of classic rock. Recently over the summer I listened to a lot of classic rock. I listened to a lot of music actually from different cultures as well, although it's not super different in terms of like, I don't know, that I listen to a lot of Japanese music now. So one album in particular would be Hosono House that I listened to actually a lot 2 summers ago, or not this past summer, but the summer before that, and then a lot of Masayoshi Takanaka as well, who's a really great guitarist, and then some German music and French music, but that's obviously not super different to most classical Western music
Well,
or
cool.
pop
I feel
music.
like you listen to everything. That's awesome. I'll have to check out those Japanese artists. So then, who would you say are your biggest inspirations or musical influences?
As I mentioned before, I think Frank Sinatra was probably my most influent or the most influential figure for me, at least when I was young.
Hmm.
Now as I was in high school, it was probably more Jeremy Jordan, who was a Broadway singer, and he has a
Yeah.
very, very strong voice. I'm not sure if you know who
Yeah,
Jeremy
yeah, yeah, I
Jordan is,
do.
but he's a very
It's
strong singer,
incredible.
and that kind of got me into have like very technical train. I was like focus on things that he would do and try and copy them as well. I would say other big influences. I really like listening to Harry Styles, and I think he makes really cool music. I think the most recent album that he had, Harry's House, which was actually um, called Harry's House based off of Hosono House, which is the album I was talking to you about
Oh,
before.
really?
Yeah,
I did not know
and
that.
he he has a lot of cool synth and big kind of explosions in the music, such as like Daylight and Satellite, which I thought were really cool, and it was really well produced. And so I think his productions and a lot of his lyrics in his songs I admire. So I would say he's a big musical influence for me.
Sick. So who would you say you collaborate with the most on a day-to-day basis?
I would say my collaboration is mostly with Dr. Browning.
Yeah.
Because I take classes with him, so I spend a lot of time with him and talking about my music. Also with Billy, we were working on a song actually earlier today, and we wrote a song a few weeks ago, also for Dr. Browning
For his composition class.
Class. So I spent a lot of time working on that. We were working probably for like 3 hours or 4 hours in the studio just figuring out these lyrics, and lyrics seem to be the most difficult part for me and for him, and I'm sure it's that way for a lot of other people as well. But I would say Billy. I worked a lot last semester with Will on his EP. I didn't do writing of his music like I'm doing now with Billy. I did mostly production stuff and kind of popped in here and there and provided some ideas. But yeah, now it's mostly Billy.
Billy, yeah. Do you ever write with Dr. Browning?
I have not written anything with him, like co-written. I mean, obviously he's helped me write my own music, and so we speak about lyrics a lot, and we speak about how to write a song that's a little bit more interesting than what typically is heard in pop nowadays.
Yeah.
Whether it's the form of a song, like verse and chorus structure and stuff like that, or which chords to use so it's not repetitive and it's a little bit more interesting, or how to change the perspective of what you're talking about throughout different verses and different choruses to kind of get an interesting idea of how the song works.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I should probably take that class.
Yeah, it's a great class.
Do you enjoy performing and sharing music with other people, or would you rather just kind of keep it to yourself?
That's a good question. I mean, starting from when I was probably really young, when I was like, I guess when I did summer stage, which I just told you about, when I was around 10 years old, I really actually didn't like performing. I didn't like singing in front of other people, and I still get nervous singing in front of people today, and I still mess up, and I notice all my small mess ups, and I'm like, oh no, I didn't do as well as I hoped. But when I was younger, it was especially bad because I wouldn't sing in front of anyone. I was in this summer stage camp, but I wouldn't sing in front of anyone because I was too scared to. And so my mom actually showed, who is actually one of my vocal coaches now, George Kroom, a video of me. She sent a video of me singing in the shower, or I guess a voice memo or something of me singing in the shower, and I didn't know she was taking this voice memo, and she sent it to George, and then the next day of summer stage I came in, and he didn't berate me, but he was like, you should sing in front of people, and he forced me to sing in front of people, which I was not too happy about, but it's necessary, I think, if you're trying to be a performer, if you're trying to share music, or if you're in a camp that makes you sing, you have to sing.
Yeah, I mean, I know you're in the octaves too, and that's just literally all performance,
Yeah, it's all performance. It's a lot of practice, but we do a lot of performances, and I do now like performing a lot, and I hope to do that as kind of a career in the future, if I'm lucky enough to be able to do that.
Yeah.
But I really enjoy it now. I think I haven't performed in a band, which is something that I'm excited to do because I'm trying to start a band now, or not start one, but join one with one of my friends, and
like at Richmond.
Yeah.
Sick.
Yeah, it's gonna be exciting if it all goes well and works as well as I hope it does.
Yeah.
That would be a ton of fun, and then I actually get to perform in front of people in kind of a lower stress setting, or a low stress setting, where it's just kind of me and my friends and performing in front of other friends at a party or something like that, rather than a full mic'd up performance, although we will be using mics, but a full mic'd up performance like we have at Parents Weekend, or if we have a spring concert. I think honestly I actually don't have a problem performing in big groups like in Scola. like when we had our large performance, or when I'm a background singer for
Yeah.
my a cappella group. It's mostly when, I have to sing up there and everyone notices me alone. It's
Like soloing. And
yeah,
things.
soloing is kind of gets me nervous a little bit, but I think I've been trying to throw myself out there a little bit more just so I can get a little bit more experience, and because I have to do this American Idol thing as well.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I have to be a little bit more, open to performing in front of other people.
Yeah, can you
Yeah.
actually tell me a little bit about that? Like, I know you said you got through to the Nashville auditions. Like, what's kind of the timeline of that? And
Yeah, I've been posting kind of videos of me singing like you have over the past kind of, I want to say half year or so. And it caught like a very small amount of traction throughout the summer. And one of the executive producers commented and reached out to me and then asked me if I wanted to audition. So I did. And I was lucky enough to get far enough where they wanted me to meet all of the well-known people like Lionel Richie and Katy Perry and stuff like that. So that would be a little bit nerve-wracking when I actually have to perform in front of them. But hopefully everything that I'm doing now, kind of performing in front of as many people as possible and in as many settings as possible, will get me prepared for that audition.
yeah, for sure. Do you know when that is happening?
Yeah, that's happening November 11th to the 18th. Some 2 or 3 days within that range is what they've told me.
Okay, so are you gonna have to go for that entire time and they're just gonna call you?
No, they'll tell me sometime soon, I think within the next week or two, what specific days they are, but when they first told me it was between the 11th and 18th, yeah.
Okay, that's so fun.
Yeah.
Do you know what you're gonna sing, or have you been like working on it?
They actually asked me that, and they asked me to play guitar with my performance when I got through. They were like, okay, could you bring your guitar and play your guitar on stage? And I was like, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's always, for me, I think, a little bit difficult to be able to sing and play guitar at the same time.
Yeah, me too.
Because I'm
so
always
hard.
I can't actually fully focus on my singing. It's like multitasking is difficult. But hopefully, like I said, maybe joining this band will help, and then I can actually get some experience playing an instrument and singing at the same time, or doing something of the sort, so that I get kind of that musical multitasking skill.
Yeah, it's so hard. I every time I try and perform with the guitar, I just chicken out. But okay, last question. What song do you wish you could go back to and listen to for the first time? Like if you could go back and hear a song for the first time again.
That's a really good question. There's so many songs that I would choose, actually. I would say the first one that comes to mind is one actually on the album called Swing When You're Winning by Robbie Williams. It was One for My Baby and One More for the Road, which is a cover of a song that Frank Sinatra sang.
Okay.
And he just does it with such suave that I think it's very smooth and it's very fluid. And I think that's one of the songs that will always remind me of my dad, and always remind me of like kind of when I was younger, when my dad showed me that album. So I think that is one of the songs that I would say I wish I could listen to for the first time again. But there are many more.
I know, I have such a hard time choosing one too. But that's really sweet.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you for doing this interview with me.
Of course.